Invite viewers to post their location and local time. Because sometimes knowing where people are tuning in from makes the story feel less like one man against the tide and more like a global campfire circle. Now picture this: a calm lake surface, reflecting dawn light, the metallic clink of a wrench in a boat engine, and a man with grease on his coveralls thinking it's just another workday. That's when the footsteps come. Not the light shuffle of a neighbor carrying donuts, but heavy boots, the kind of rhythm that says authority incoming. He straightens up, wiping his hands. And there she is, Selma Drayton, the freshly minted HOA president, flanked by two security guards who look like they'd rather be at a barbecue. She doesn't say good morning, she doesn't even clear her throat. She just raises one manicured finger and the guard slams a lock onto his dock gate with the solemnity of a medieval executioner dropping an axe. 10 years of sweat and sacrifice for that dock snapped shut in 10 seconds flat. Her speech is rehearsed, dripping with words like aesthetic harmony and community beautification, subsection 12.3. The absurdity almost makes him laugh. He's staring at a dock older than half the houses on this lake, being labeled visual pollution. And the fine, exactly $5,000, just the right number to sting, but not quite justify a lawyer. Historians still argue whether tyrants rise because people are silent or because paperwork makes rebellion feel inconvenient. Either way, Selma is banking on both. The notices arrive in waves: safety concerns, habitat disturbance, even boat storage, infractions on vessels that haven't moved in years. Customers cancel by the hour, insurance companies sniff at liability coverage, and suddenly his business feels radioactive. It's death by 1,000 fines, each more laughable than the last. He photographs everything: the barrier, the lock, the guard's uncomfortable shuffling. If Selma's weapon is bureaucracy, his shield is documentation. And then irony delivers a gift. The email about the community's biggest annual event, the fishing competition, lands in his inbox. Page 1 mandatory launch point. Voss Dock. Selma has locked down the very dock required for the HOA's crown jewel event. She's either blind or reckless, maybe both. He runs a finger over the padlock, cold steel against warm skin, and realizes this isn't just harassment, it's leverage, hers against him, and maybe, just maybe, his against her. A friend named Paul rolls up, veteran of lake politics, armed with yellowed newspaper clippings about past HOA power grabs. He points at the lock and mutters, "Same playbook, different decade." Neighbors start whispering, a local reporter takes photos, and the whispers shift into a buzz. The dock isn't just a piece of wood and nails anymore. It's tradition, history, even legend, the place where a governor once pulled up a record bass. That makes Selma's lock not only heavy, but radioactive. And the man staring at it knows he might be holding the pin to her grenade. The compliance hearing packs the community center like it's opening night at a small-town theater. People squeeze into plastic chairs, murmurs ripple across the room, and Selma struts to the podium, armed with a projector, a laser pointer, and the smugness of someone convinced the crowd is already hers. Slide after slide paints his dock as a menace, unsafe, unsightly, unworthy. Yet one timestamp betrays her the photo of a violation taken months before she was even president. That slip doesn't just expose bias, it exposes premeditation. And when the compliance officer clears his throat to remind her the fishing competition depends on this very dock, her laser pointer trembles. He rises from the back row and drops the question that cracks her smile like ice under spring thaw. Was the check made to the HOA or to you personally? The silence that follows is so pure, you could hear a fish jump outside. Selma's eyes flatten, her practiced tone falters, and suddenly the audience realizes this isn't about aesthetics. It's about money leverage, maybe even greed. Historians still argue whether communities fracture from external pressures or internal corruption, but in that moment the fracture is obvious. Behind the scenes, she doubles down. Private meetings over coffee at her pristine lakefront house become theater of another kind. She slides a contract across marble countertops with a gold pen, lowering the fine to $2,000 if he'll just sign away recognition of the HOA's authority. It's dressed up as compromise, but the clauses read like chains at the board's discretion, subject to periodic review. He recognizes a trap disguised as generosity, the kind con artists have polished for centuries. Her phone buzzes. A city area code flashes. She declines, then pretends nothing's wrong. But a folder on her counter bears the blurred logo of a sponsor, and the voicemail left in her rush mentions timeline guarantees. The smell of desperation cuts sharper than her overpriced coffee beans. She wants him to sign fast before the cracks in her armor widen. He stalls, feigning caution, hinting he'll run it by an attorney. Her smile returns, but her eyes, they flicker with the unease of someone who knows their bluff is thinning. The next dawn brings escalation. A county inspector on his dock with a clipboard fat as a phone book. Assistants measuring planks already approved last season, yellow tape slapping across boards like crime scene markers. Every violation is absurd, yet Selma's name sits bold at the bottom of the complaint. He records badge numbers, timestamps, every test returning clean, much to the assistant's dismay. Inspector Thompson finally mutters the truth aloud. This appears retaliatory. That phrase lands heavier than any fine. And while Selma weaponizes safety codes, the dock owner arms himself with history. Plat maps from the 70s, records proving community access clauses, even a photo of a governor hoisting a bass in the 80s. Each artifact is another nail in the case being built not against his dock but against her reign. It dawns on him she thinks she's closing a business. What she's actually closing is her own exit route. The competition morning dawns clear, the kind of glassy sunrise fishermen dream about. Yet instead of rods casting arcs over the water, the shore buzzes with confusion. Vendors stand beside half-built booths. Spectators cluster in awkward knots, and Selma grips a microphone with a voice that trembles under its own weight. She announces a minor delay, claiming North Beach will host the launch instead, ignoring the fact that motorboats are banned there. The crowd doesn't buy it. Someone shouts the truth and suddenly murmurs, "Turn into jeers." He steps forward with his attorney documents thick enough to break a table leg. Calmly, without raising his voice, he reads the clause. Selma herself signed. Breach of venue terms means penalties and termination. Cameras catch every word, and the final blow lands when he reveals Blue Gull Enterprises, the main sponsor, has been his company all along. For 3 years, he quietly funded the event, only to withdraw support now that corruption poisoned it. Selma's face drains of color as the realization spreads. She was never holding the leash. She was the one tethered. The collapse is swift. Sponsors flee, insurance voids coverage, and the Fishing Association washes its hands in public statements. Neighbors erupt into an impromptu no-confidence vote. 50 hands rise for every one that stays down. Selma is escorted out shouting about community values no one believes anymore. Within days, a realtor's sign plants itself in her perfect yard, her empire reduced to a moving van slipping away in the night. Historians still argue whether hubris destroys leaders faster than enemies do, but here the answer feels obvious. And then the turn he announces the dock's transformation. No longer his alone, but deeded into a community trust. Free access forever, shielded from HOA clause, managed by elected stewards. The cheer that rises could scare every bass in the county. A plaque soon gleams in the morning sun. Voss Public Dock forever open to all. Kids chase minnows in the shallows. Families cast lines without fear, and the lock once used to choke his livelihood now hangs in a display case at the local tackle shop, a relic of arrogance defeated. Neighbors who once whispered now linger proudly, telling newcomers how justice was carved from patience and paperwork. Paul claps him on the back. laughing that the fish just got a vacation extension. The dock owner smiles, knowing the real victory isn't in humiliating Selma, but in restoring what should never have been threatened. He looks out at the water ripples glinting under a soft breeze and feels something rare in HOA-plagued neighborhoods: peace. The story softens as twilight drapes across the lake. Voices lower, children's laughter echoes faintly, and the air carries the smell of pine and water rather than tension. He leans against the railing, remembering his father's words about docks outlasting men, and understands now. Sometimes you win not by building walls, but by opening gates. Sometimes the best revenge is giving away what someone tried to steal. And sometimes survival itself, patient and steady, is the sharpest weapon of all. So let the lake grow quiet again. No politics, no padlocks, just water, light, and time. Let neighbors breathe easier, families fish without fear, and history settle back into the planks. And for anyone still listening at this late hour, may your own battles end with as much calm as this lake now holds. May patience be your shield, may truth be your anchor, and may every lock that tries to bind you one day turn into a plaque gleaming in the sun.